What brings us here today are sports injuries. Why I like to talk about sports injuries with our patients is I have a little bit of a background in it. I used to play football. I actually got to the level of professional football up in Canada and a little bit with the USFL. And during that time, I remember a few injuries and sitting off the side for a little bit, but always going right back into a game. When I started chiropractic school, I found out something that I never knew I had, and I actually broke my neck. I had a compression fracture of C7 and T1 spinous, and what that is, and I'll just show you real quickly, is there is the vertebral body of the spine, and what it is, a compression fracture, is I actually squished it. And then this is a spinous process, and I actually ripped that off. And I never knew I did that, because I actually did that. The time I remember injuring my neck was when I was a junior in college, and I played my senior year, and then I played 2 other years after that. And when I finally went to chiropractic school, I had x-rays taken and found out that I had broken my neck. And since then, I have been obviously getting adjusted because of the detriment when you do have a subluxation in your spine is unbelievably dangerous to your health. Now, when you have a compression fracture and you have a subluxation, it just compounds that even more. And so when I see patients, I always ask them about their children and how they're doing. Not only are they playing sports, but other things. But when they do play sports, specifically contact sports, are they getting checked? Because you can go through things and not even know it. And contact sports can be soccer, simply heading a ball. It can be hockey. It can be lacrosse is a big sport coming to really being popular right now, and even football. And so we really do encourage them to come in. And a lot of times you won't feel a symptom right away, but what you might notice are some other things. The part in the spine, the neck that we're talking about, some of the symptoms that can happen are tingling down the arms, pain and numbness, headaches, but also you can start things that you wouldn't necessarily relate to a cervical injury, but would be respiratory problems, sinuses, even allergies have come up after some injuries that kids have come in for in the office. And so I want to talk a little bit about what we do in the office and how we check kids. All kids don't necessarily need x-rays. If they do have an injury or something significant, we will probably take an x-ray. But a lot of times we can just do a full exam and a nice history, and we'll have the parents there and they can refresh the child's mind a lot of time because they forget, and some specific questions. But as we go through that, we can really dig deep and find out exactly what potentially is wrong. And a lot of times it might be just simply a subluxation. It's probably not going to be a broken or a compressed vertebrae like I have, or a spinous process that was ripped off. But it's so important to check your children young, because when a child is young, they're still growing, and you want to make sure they grow to their fullest potential. When they have an injury, and if it's just a subluxation, it can be so important to their development to get that corrected early. So I want to show you really quickly what a subluxation is on the spine. And so I'm going to use this little model here. So what this is a representation of 2 vertebrae in the spine. And what you'll notice is there's a brown or darker piece. That is what is called a disc, and that's in between the 2 bones, and that's more of a cushioning. And how these 2 bones line up is important because there's a nerve that comes out. Let me just show you. This is what is called a nerve root. Okay, and this connects to the brain, and the brain controls and coordinates all cells, tissues, vital organs, and muscles of the body. So you can imagine if the child injures himself in sports and it subluxates that bone just slightly and puts a little bit of pressure on that nerve, how do you think they're going to respond? Are they going to be healthier, or are they going to be sicker? Are they going to have maybe some pain? Are they going to have maybe develop asthma? Are they going to develop allergies? Or are they just not going to function at their 100%? We all want our kids. I have 3 kids that compete nationally in karate. My oldest is a football player and a soccer player. My middle child is a soccer player and in karate, and even my 6-year-old now is in karate. My family are all black belts. They compete in fighting, so they get hit around. My son, the oldest one, is in football. So I check them at least 3 times a week. Not to get rid of a symptom, but to prevent things from happening. It's so important. Again, I want my kids to grow to be their most, or to grow to their maximum, and I would expect you would too, because we can check this, and if we can just take that little bit of that pressure off the spine and they can start functioning closer to their potential, isn't that more beneficial? Of course it is. So the problem with this is, if this is not taken care of when they're young, they can develop problems and symptoms that brought you into the office. Now you think, I've had this neck pain for all these years, and when was the first time you had it? Well, it might have been when you were a little kid. You fell off your bike, you fell off a tree swing, playing soccer, playing football, you injured yourself, and it just kind of went away, but it's always kind of been nagging you. And now when we take x-rays, it might have done something where it's progressed, where now you have some degeneration in your spine, and the symptoms are now not every now and then, they're more current, they are more frequent, and now it's a little bit more severe. So it's really, really important to get your children in and just get them checked. But the other part of this that we haven't really talked about is the performance of your child. Now we know how all professional sports teams now has a chiropractor. Why do you think that is? Well, they want the most out of their athlete. They get checked regularly because the owners put so much money into these players. Well, they want their return on investment, so they're going to do the most they can. And it's not just the medical doctor, it's not the physical therapist, but now they're looking at chiropractic because they can increase their performance. Back to that model, when there's pressure on that nerve, are you performing at 100%? Absolutely not. Just if you had an 8-cylinder car and I took one of your spark plugs out, your car would still run, but it's not going to run as well. It's not at its peak. You put that spark plug back, your car runs well, and you keep it tuned up, don't you? You change your oil, you do that. Well, we don't even take care of ourselves that well. We take better care of our cars. So now you have this child that you're investing all your time and your energy and effort into. Well, don't you want to take care of them too? Let's get the maximum out of their spine and their nervous system, which is the master control of the whole body. It just makes good sense to open these channels up and allow their body to function and perform as best that they can. So when we have someone come in, not only do we encourage the husband or the wife that first came in, but bring your whole family in. Let's get them checked. We want your family not only out of pain, healthy, thriving at the most possible they can do. And if they're involved in sports, they go over the weekend and they twist their ankle, or they fall down, they do a head or whatever, you bring them in and you get them checked. And if we find anything, we adjust them. And if they need more than 1 or 2 adjustments, we take care of that. We talk to you about it. We want the best for your child. And what we want is long-term health for your child. Because part of this controls everything, not only the performance of the muscles, but of your coordination, but we also want them on the field. So are they going to get sick? Are they going to have asthma attacks where they have to be taken off? Are they going to be on chronic medication or chronic medication for the lifetime of while they're doing sports? Don't you think it makes much better sense for us as parents, as myself as a doctor, to get the most out of the body that God gave us? Our body works phenomenally well if it's allowed to. If we have any kind of blockages in the way, we're not going to function the best that we can. So again, back to the subluxation and performance in sports, we want the best for your child. All chiropractors want the best for your child. So if you are listening to this somewhere, go make sure your children get checked. And if the chiropractor says, hey, he's great, make sure he checks them again, because things change. and you will notice that your child will thrive better, will perform better in all aspects of life, and it'll be a much more enjoyable sporting experience, health experience, and family experience. So thank you very much.